Welcome to the Deep Dive, your shortcut to being well-informed. Today, we're tackling a really foundational piece of law, something that genuinely affects so many parts of society, the Lotteries Act 57 of 1997.
That's right. And it's the big one, the framework that pulls everything together for lotteries and, sports pools. Updated significantly back in 2015, but the core is from 97.
And it's a consolidation, right? It didn't just create something new out of thin air.
Exactly. That's a really key point. Before this act, things were much more scattered. It effectively replaced older laws, even amending things like the Post Office Act and various gambling acts from way back. It tidied things up considerably.
So one structure to manage, well, potentially huge sums of money and activity. What's the fundamental mission here? What's this act trying to achieve?
It really has two main jobs. First, it clearly defines what's not allowed: unauthorized lotteries, illegal sports pools, sets the boundaries.
Okay, prohibition.
Yeah. But the second part is arguably much bigger. It sets up the system for running a national lottery. And crucially, it dictates how the money raised, the proceeds, must be distributed for public good. It's about regulating this activity specifically to benefit society.
Right, channeling the profits. So let's start with the oversight. Who's the watchdog in this system?
That would be the National Lotteries Commission, the NLC. Section 2 of the Act actually establishes it as what's called juristic person.
Okay, juristic person. For those of us not steeped in legal jargon, what does that mean practically?
It basically means the commission is its own legal entity. It's not just another government office. Think of it like a company. In some ways, it can own property, enter into contracts, sue or be sued. It has a board, operates with a degree of independence.
So it has some teeth, some autonomy.
Precisely. It signals its importance and its distinct role.
And what's its job description, according to the Act? What's the NLC supposed to do?
Section 2A lays it out pretty clearly, focusing on openness and transparency. Its core tasks are making sure the national lottery and sports pools run strictly by the book constitution, the Act itself, the license conditions.
Protecting the players, too, I assume?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Protecting the interests of every participant is right up there. Plus, they have a role in public education, making sure people understand the Act, know how the grant process works.
And I found this interesting. They don't just sit back and wait for applications, do they?
No, that's a proactive part. The Act says they should conduct research into worthy causes that might need funding, even if they haven't applied. It shows that developmental sort of public good focus.
Okay, but integrity is paramount here, given the money involved. How does the Act try to ensure the people running the NLC are, well, beyond reproach? Let's talk about the board.
Ah, yes. The integrity measures are extensive. You can't just put anyone on the board. It needs people with proven business sense. Specifically, it calls for a lawyer, a chartered accountant, people with real financial and legal expertise.
Makes sense. And what about keeping conflicts of interest out? What are the big no-nos for being a commissioner or a board member?
Sections 2E and 3A are very strict on disqualifications. You're out if you're not a citizen, for instance, or if you're barred from being a company director. Any past removal from a position of trust for dishonesty or a criminal finding involving fraud, that disqualifies you too.
And the political angle.
Crucially, yes, you cannot be a political office bearer. The Act works hard to build a firewall between political influence and the lottery operations.
Which seems absolutely essential, doesn't it, given the potential for misuse?
It really does.
Yeah.
And it goes further. There's a strict conflict of interest declaration requirement in Section 2F, and then there's the restraint of trade clause.
Tell me about that.
It's quite tough. Commissioners, board members, even their immediate family or partners are barred from taking jobs or getting any financial benefit from a lottery licensee, or even someone who applies for a grant for up to 2 years after they leave the NLC.
Wow, a 2-year cooling-off period. That's serious.
It is. It's designed specifically to stop people cashing in on insider knowledge or connections straight after leaving. It underscores the high ethical standard expected.
Okay, so we have the regulator, the NLC, with all these integrity checks. Now, let's look at the main event, the national lottery itself. It's a monopoly, isn't it?
Yes. Section 13 is clear. The minister, after checking with the board, issues only one license at a time to run the national lottery. One operator.
And for how long?
Typically, the license period can't be more than 8 years. Section 14 specifies that.
Why cap it at 8 years? Why not let a good operator keep going indefinitely?
Well, the time limit forces periodic review and accountability. It means the operator can't get complacent. To get the license renewed, or for a new applicant to win the tender, they have to keep meeting some pretty demanding criteria.
And these aren't just about having deep pockets, are they?
Not at all. Section 13, subsection 2, lays out requirements like having sufficient knowledge, experience, and resources, of course. But it also demands a clear, ongoing commitment to social responsibility programs.
And I noted a specific focus on empowerment.
Yes, very important. A commitment to the advancement, upliftment, and economic empowerment of previously disadvantaged persons is written right into the criteria. It's a social development objective baked into the commercial license.
Plus, another political firewall.
Absolutely. It explicitly states no political party or office bearer can have a direct financial interest in the applicant company or its shareholders. Reinforces that separation we talked about.
So if an operator ticks all these boxes, financial, social, political, what's their primary goal supposed to be? Making money or running it cleanly?
The Act sets out a hierarchy in Section 13.3. The absolute top priorities are propriety, running it correctly and ethically and adequately protecting the participants.
Okay. Conduct and safety first.
Exactly. Then, subject to meeting those first two, the third goal is to maximize the net proceeds going into the distribution fund. So it's propriety, protection, then profit for good causes.
That order matters. What if the operator messes up if they don't meet these standards?
There are grounds for suspending or even revoking the license, laid out in sections 17 to 20. Things like materially breaking the license conditions, giving false information during the application.
Or internal failures.
Yes, significantly. Failing to prevent fraud by their own employees or agents can also lead to revocation. The onus is on the operator to maintain internal controls.
Right. They carry the responsibility. Okay, let's follow the money. This is the part everyone wants to know about. Where do the profits actually go?
They flow into a dedicated fund, the National Lottery Distribution Trust Fund, or NLDTF. Section 21 establishes it. It's held in trust, managed by the NLC board.
Managed by the board. Does that mean public scrutiny?
Yes, crucially, the board has to submit annual financial reports to Parliament detailing how the funds were distributed. That's a key accountability mechanism. Transparency is built in.
And how is the money carved up? Is it just a free-for-all, or are there rules?
Oh, very specific rules. Section 26 mandates how the balance after operating costs must be allocated. There are 4 main categories.
Which?
Charities, sport and recreation, arts, culture, and national heritage. For these 3, the Act says they must receive not less than a prescribed percentage. So they're guaranteed a minimum slice of the pie.
Guaranteed funding, okay. And the 4th category?
That's listed as miscellaneous purposes. And interestingly, for that one, the Act says it should receive not more than a prescribed percentage.
Ah, so it limits the discretionary pot.
Exactly. It ensures the bulk of the funds are channeled into those core public benefit areas: charity, sport, arts, and culture.
Makes sense. Now, how does, say, a local sports club or a charity actually get their hands on some of this money? What's the application process?
That falls to the distributing agencies. These are appointed by the minister, but they're accountable to the NLC board. Their main job is to sift through applications, evaluate them, and decide who gets grants. They're the gatekeepers, essentially.
I noticed a rule in Section 26G about not applying if you're just an agent or a conduit. Why is that there?
Yeah, that's designed to prevent middlemen from just skimming off the top. The idea is the money should go directly to the organization doing the actual work on the ground, not to someone who's just passing it along, unless there's a very good reason why the end beneficiary can't apply themselves. Cuts out inefficiency and potential misuse.
Okay. What if an organization applies, does good work, but gets rejected? Do they have any recourse?
Yes, there's a review process. Section 26H allows an applicant who feels unfairly treated by the distributing agency's decision to apply to the NLC board for a review.
And the board can overturn the decision?
They can. They can order the agency to look at it again or even step in, set aside the original decision, and make their own ruling. It's an important internal check for fairness.
What about after the money is granted? If it turns out it's being misused, can it be clawed back?
Absolutely. Section 33 gives the minister significant power here. If information comes to light showing the grant money is being used improperly for unauthorized things, unlawful purposes, or if the application itself was dodgy, like misleading or fraudulent,
Then what?
the minister can step in and prohibit further payments, withdraw the grant entirely, or reduce it. And crucially, the NLC board is legally obliged to take all reasonable steps to recover any money that's been withdrawn. It's a strong safeguard for public funds.
Okay, good to know there's a clawback mechanism.
Yeah.
Now, quickly shifting gears, We've focused heavily on the big national lottery, but the act also covers smaller scale lotteries, doesn't it? The kind you see at, like, school events.
It does, yes. Part 2 of the Act regulates these. First, you've got lotteries incidental to exempt entertainment. Think bazaars, school fetes, maybe a raffle at a local sports club event.
What are the rules for those?
Section 36 is key here. The main things are the prize can't be cash, and all the proceeds, after deducting very minimal allowed expenses, have to go to a deserving section of the public or charity.
Okay. Then there are private lotteries.
Right. Section 37 covers those. These are really for closed groups, members of a specific social club, or maybe people working and living on the same premises. The proceeds have to be used either for prizes within the group or for the society's own purposes, not for general fundraising outside the group.
And the last category, society lotteries.
Yes, Section 38. These are the more formal ones run by actual charities or nonprofit societies that have to be registered with the NLC board. They need an approved scheme, and the funds raised must be used for specific purposes, charitable, sport, cultural, or whatever the board has approved for that society.
So the act draws really clear lines. What happens if someone ignores these rules and runs an unauthorized lottery?
Well, that's where enforcement comes in. Section 57 covers general offenses. Basically, anyone who conducts, promotes, plays, or benefits from an unauthorized lottery or sports pool is committing an offense. That's how the state protects the licensed system and prevents illegal gambling operations.
And there are rules about the tickets themselves for consumer protection.
Yes, Section 57 again. You can't sell a ticket for more than the price printed on it. And importantly, you can't sell lottery tickets on credit or lend someone money to buy a ticket, trying to prevent people getting into debt through lottery participation.
Okay, and one last legal point that seems quite significant from Section 65. It makes lottery debts enforceable.
Yes, this is a big shift from older legal views. Section 65 states that any debt incurred through a lawful, authorized lottery is now enforceable in court like any other legitimate debt.
Why does that matter so much?
Historically, gambling debts were often seen as debts of honor, not legally binding under common law. This section basically says, no, the National Lottery and other authorized lotteries are legitimate, regulated activities, and the financial obligations arising from them are fully recognized by the legal system. It underpins the commercial reality and legality of the whole regulated structure.
Right. It gives it that final legal stamp of approval. Okay, so let's pull this all together. What does this deep dive into the Lotteries Act mean for you, the listener?
We've seen a complex law that brought order, created a regulator, the NLC, with really strict integrity rules, especially keeping politics out.
And that licensing process, demanding social responsibility, not just profit. Plus, the crucial part, mandating that the profits flow back into specific public good sectors, charity, sport, arts, culture.
The structure is incredibly detailed, isn't it? Responding to the inherent risks of handling such large sums designated for public benefit. Every step, from board appointments to grant withdrawal powers, seems designed as a safeguard.
It absolutely is. It's an attempt to build and maintain public trust in a system that generates enormous revenue, ensuring it serves its intended purpose. Which leaves us with a final thought, perhaps. Considering all these detailed rules, the transparency requirements, the annual reports, the audits, how well can any law, even one this comprehensive, truly manage that constant tension? The tension between needing to generate as much money as possible for good causes and the absolute necessity of maintaining the strictest ethical standards to keep public confidence year in, year out.
That's the perpetual challenge, isn't it? It requires ongoing vigilance, robust oversight, and frankly, constant public scrutiny of those annual reports and the Commission's actions. It's never job done.
Indeed. A balancing act that never really ends. That wraps up our deep dive into the Lotteries Act 1997. Thanks for joining us. We'll catch you next time.